That's right. Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And welcome to one last ranking podcast for the end of the year. Last time we looked back on our top 20 favorite films of 2024. This time we're looking forward to our most anticipated films of 2025. It's going to be an entertaining list, Dragon. I can tell you there's going to be two as of yet untitled movies in my top five. All right. That's all I can tell you. My top five is going to be very cryptic indeed. Okay, Dragon, with that in mind, you want to get started?
Yeah, let's do it.
Do you have any criteria?
Well, I mean, I tried in terms of the arrangement. I did kind of think about them hard, and it's like, what am I truly anticipating? So obviously, there's movies I'm going to see. We put it at 10, and there's some movies are probably going to be sprung on us, and some they're so. Mm-hmm. Again, I didn't put the untitled ones on there, but
Well, I mean, the untitled ones are mostly like directors that I really appreciate and follow, and you don't really follow directors like that, so.
Anyway, so my criteria is just in terms of the ranking. I tried, there are some that I'm interested in seeing, but I did have to kind of ask a few just in terms of, I want to stick with the ones that I'm kind of genuinely, I'm hyped for, that I'm looking forward to, that are on my radar in terms of just like in general, in general, I'm sure this is going to be good, or, I was interest in seeing it, but I really feel like, I don't. For example, you will not see a lot of remakes on there for kind of the collective point of like, what the original is gonna. It's kind of. I was thinking like, do I want to put How to Train Your Dragon the live action one on there, and I realized, what, I'm tempted to, but at the same token, I'm having that and Lilo and Stitch in the same category of like, how are we going to top the original? Why bother after we have the original, kind of a mentality? So it's like, I can't get, even I'm not like casting doom upon them, but I'm saying though, I can't get excited about that because I'm perfectly happy with what we have already. I don't need to get excited for that.
I feel you.
That's kind of my standpoint on those. That's why you're probably not going to see those on there, and the rest are just kind of like just in terms of hype. And I mean, again, I like all 10 of these movies, and I'm definitely going to be checking them out.
Yeah, for me, it was I less had like, obviously this is going to be less like rigid criteria than the actual like favorite films, but for me, it was more so like I wanted to keep an even balance of like franchise stuff and stuff from like my director guys, my Letterboxd crew. So that's kind of where I'm at here. Kogias says, I love lists. Everyone loves lists, Kogias. Who doesn't love lists? Keeper Colby's here. He says, looking at this list, it's so easy to predict. Clearly, Tiki is hyped for Thunderbolts and Jurassic World, and Dragon is hyped for Chuck and the Monkey. Well, Paragraph Jurassic World is on my list, so you got most of that right. Okay, Dragon, I'm gonna go first, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, sure. Go nuts.
So number 10, Dragon. It's not the monkey paw. It's not the monkey wrench. It's the monkey. All right. Yeah. So this is number 10 for like, I am looking forward to it. I think the trailer looks fun. I think the premise is pretty batshit. Just the idea of having just this classically kind of scary children's toy at the center of a horror movie. Osgood Perkins, I wasn't a big fan of Longlegs. I didn't love Longlegs by any extent. But with that being said, he is a very interesting director. He has a very, very interesting style to him. And I'm excited that this movie's coming out so soon after Longlegs. And it looks like a very, this is probably, as far as I know, on my list, this is the movie that's coming out the soonest from when we're recording this. So we will soon know if this is going to be like something that builds on the success of Longlegs, if it's going to be like a something like where it doesn't quite capture the success, but like kind of like a Jordan Peele Nope or I'm sorry. Yeah, if it's going to be a situation like where with some of Jordan Peele's like, like post Get Out films where it's like not quite as popular, but some fans are going to say it's even more potent, which is how I feel about Jordan Peele's post Get Out films. I really like Get Out, but I feel like he's built on that ever since. So we will see. Obviously, Dragon, this is not your type of movie. You don't do horror, but are you intrigued by the premise at least? Just the idea of having this little monkey toy at the center of a horror movie?
I mean, here's the thing. Every time the old now, mind you, this is not the cymbal monkey, right? This is just like the he's like playing a drum.
It's based on the symbol monkey.
But I know it's
yeah,
based. That sounds
Yeah.
like they weren't able to legally clear the cymbal monkey. So this is
exactly.
okay. I was say here's the thing with this. Every time I see the cymbal monkey, my grandmother, she will always note that I had one of those. It's like we're watching Toy Story 3. She'll say,
Right,
"Oh yeah,
right,
I
right.
used to have
Yeah.
one of those." And like the Grinch, like when he's getting beaten by the giant cymbal monkey, he's like, "Oh yes." That's the first thing that jumps to mind when I see this. I see this thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Is
should be a
Tatiana
fun
Mas-
time.
is Tatiana Maslany in this?
I'm not sure.
I thought she was. At least there's either that or she's in another movie called The Monkey.
The monkey. Give me 1 second.
I think there's like some weird I think like the thumbnail for the trailer or something is like her like bloody eyes.
Yeah, she's in it. She's in it.
Oh, there you go. That's interesting.
Also Elijah Woods. That's fun.
He is also going to be in Toxic Avenger.
Nice, nice. Okay, so yeah, like I said, I don't have like terribly high hopes for this movie just because, like I said, Longlegs didn't really land with me. But this looks a lot more because basically my problem with Longlegs is it essentially felt like an extended episode of Criminal Minds with some vague supernatural elements thrown in. This feels like it's a little more unique than that. It feels like a little more kind of like off the wall, sort of like crazy. And I like that in a horror movie. So I'm excited about it, but I do have my reservations just because Longlegs didn't exactly blow my mind. But still, it should be fun. Colby says justice for Longlegs.
Hashtag justice for Longlegs.
Yeah. Little Blues in the chat. He says, I can tell Lilo and Stitch won't be on the list for the both of you. Are you really surprised, Eli? Are you really
I said it at the top of the podcast, so no, it's not.
Right. Kogia says the Wicked sequel is currently my most anticipated film of the year because the first film surpassed my really big expectations. That is also on my list. Where it is, we will just have to wait and see. Okay, Dragon, what is your number 10?
Okay, my number 10 is Zootopia 2.
This is one where this is one of the ones that was on the bubble for me. I did have to knock it out, but I figured you'd have it on your list. So yeah, I went back and this is one of my most anticipated of the year. Just didn't quite make the top 10.
Yeah, I went back and forth on 10 for a while. And I ended up basically Zootopia 2 was kind of my first instinct. I figured, maybe I should just stick with it. I put it number 10 as a compromise, where I really enjoyed the first film. I love that Disney essentially has a cop franchise in the form of anthropomorphic animals. I think that's kind of funny. Because that was always my favorite stuff in Zootopia, just kind of the police procedural stuff. But anyway, honestly, it's just the main reasons that number 10 is like, man, there's just not a lot known about it yet. We have a vague premise. We have a little bit of like a dash of casting. Ke Huy Quan is going to be in it essentially as, if not our bad guy, then at least our lead suspect. He's going to be in it. He's the object of pursuit. I just feel this is going to run the risk of like not topping, the original, which broke new ground.
But one thing with the original is that the villain was weak sauce, and I feel like this could correct that. This could build on the already really well-established world building. So that's why I'm excited for it. I think there's definitely some Inside Out 2 upside to this one.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Let me be clear. I'm sure this is going to be good, but will it be great? That's the question.
Because honestly, like Kogias, I don't want to say that I really didn't like Zootopia, but Zootopia is one of those movies where I don't think it plays that great on a rewatch. I think it's kind of just okay. It's got really, really likable characters. That dynamic between Nick and Judy is insanely likable. Mm-hmm. But I don't really think the mystery is all that great. Obviously, Mayor Bellwether is maybe one of the weakest Disney villains in history. That twist villain shit was just ridiculously redundant in the 2010s. But with Zootopia, I really do love the world, and I love the characters, and I think if we get a better villain in there, and with the world building, we already are going to some interesting places with the reptiles of it all. So yeah, it's I'm excited about it. All right. Okay, Theme Park Priest is in here just saying, yo, how you doing, Priest? Happy to see you. Colby says, Ke Huy Quan's character is a snake. He will 100% not be the villain of the movie. They're going to do the whole different people are okay thing again. Maybe they'll subvert your expectations.
Maybe he's a reformed criminal because he shed the skin of his criminal past.
That would be a fun allegory. I'm not going to lie. I like that.
There you go. Ex-con.
Right. Okay. Yeah, ready to move on?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. For me, my number 9 is going to be Mike Flanagan's The Life of Chuck. This is starring Tom Hiddleston himself, Mr. Loki.
It's a very pleasing. It's a very aesthetically pleasing poster.
It is a really good poster. Yeah.
He looks so dapper with his coffee cup. Look at that.
He's kind of got like a little bit of a Michael Emerson vibe going on.
Little bit, but much friendlier though.
Yeah. Honestly, I have no idea what this movie's even really about. The only thing I know about it is that it's technically horror, and it starts with essentially the death of the lead character, and it's like kind of like the ultimate, like, you might be wondering how I got into this situation, and then kind of tells the life story, like leading up to the death. Look, Mike Flanagan is all over, like all around one of my favorite horror directors right now. The interesting thing with Mike Flanagan, though, is that I definitely think the man works better in the TV space. Like, I really do. I really like his movies. I'm not saying his movies are bad, but man, there's something really special about Haunting of Hill House and Midnight Mass that, like, you can't do that in a 2-hour movie. Like, you can't achieve something like that in a 2-hour movie. So, but I am looking forward to this, and I do think that, like you said with the poster, like, I think we're in for something a little different from Mike Flanagan. I think this is going to be a little bit more lighthearted than what he usually does. Honestly, his last couple projects haven't really wowed me. The Midnight Club or whatever that was called was kind of a flop, and then I didn't really love The Fall of the House of Usher. I thought that was just kind of like an exercise of misery. It was definitely a notch below his Haunting of and Midnight Mass series. So I don't know, maybe because he's hit just a tiny little, I don't even want to say a rut, but let's just say a speed bump as far as TV goes. Maybe doing a movie is exactly what he needs to, like, get back on track and create something as ambitious as a Haunting of Hill House or a Midnight Mass. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's as low as it is on the list just because there's very little known about the premise outside of just the kind of the sell of telling the story of a man's life in reverse. So
yeah, well, let me tell you about this movie, Tiki. Okay, so there's a man named Chuck, right?
Oh,
he's played by Tom Hiddleston. That much we know. Okay, and Chuck, he likes coffee and or tea. But let's make the bold assumption of coffee.
Okay,
and you know what? He's living his life. It's gonna end. We're gonna find out why. That's the life of Chuck right there.
There you go.
That's everything you need to know. Chuck, he's a nice man who likes his coffee in the morning, and he's gonna die. And what a life of Chuck.
Okay, Theme Park Priest is saying snake eyes in response to the Ke Huy Quan character. You know what would be fun is if Ke Huy Quan was like, let's just see how snake-like I can be.
No, they might do that because we had like all the we've had like a bunch of Disney references within Zootopia here.
Sir, we had a Breaking Bad reference.
That's what I mean. Yeah, we're having
Thank you very much.
Well, yeah, but I mean also like the bootleg DVDs.
Sure, yeah.
I'm just saying in that respect, we could get away with a lot of Disney puns.
Okay, Colby says Life of Chuck is my number 2 anticipated of the year. Love me some Mike Flanagan, and it won the Toronto International Film Festival People's Choice Award. It's like I said, I really am looking forward to it. I just need to know a little bit more about the premise to put it much higher. Okay, number 9 for you, Dragon.
The Electric State.
The Electric State. I actually don't know about this one. Tell me.
Oh yeah, so this is interesting. So this adapts kind of a not a superhero, so it's a graphic novel. So it's
Okay.
adapting a kind of a graphic novel. It's kind of an alternative 1990s setting. It's like a 1994, but it's a very sci-fi kind of somewhat. I don't know how dystopian it is. It's kind of this thing. I haven't read the source material, but you have robots and stuff, and it's got a stacked cast, my friend, like a great cast. We had Stanley Tucci's in this, Giancarlo Esposito, Millie Bobby Brown's the lead. You got a little bit of Pratt in there. Jason Alexander's in it. Great cast. Now, the big draw for this, a lot of people are kind of excited about, myself included. So the Russo brothers are doing this. Now, what's interesting is
That
not
doesn't
well. I'm
that
getting,
doesn't
I'm
mean
getting,
much to me.
I'm getting to,
Sorry.
I'm getting to the balancing
Oh
factor.
boy, they did a bunch of mediocre Netflix action movies after Avengers. I'm sorry, Dragon. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so factoring that in, the thing that gives me hope, because you're right, that is a concern. It is a concern that this could, worst case, this I'm concerned it'll be Gray Man.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is okay, but a lot of people are expected to be like top tier. On the flip side, though, what this has that the Gray Man doesn't have, to my recollection, is we have the full gang getting back together. We have Marcus and McFeely, who again wrote the best of the MCU stuff that we had gotten, and they were not on the Netflix stuff the Russo brothers had done.
Right.
So we have like the writers and the directors on this, and we have the source material. We have it's based on the source material, and we have a lot of good actors. We have Silvestri doing the score. I think the trailer looks promising. It's a very simple premise: girl looking for her brother in this sci-fi setting. I'm cautiously optimistic, but again, I am worried. Like the color palette and the fact that it's on Netflix is what's there's a little bit of color in there, but I'm worried there's going to be like a Netflix filter on it, Netflix holding it back. That's my fear, But that's why it's not higher on the list, because everything on paper says this is going to be fantastic. How are you not hyped about this? But then again, you realize, oh wait, it's the Russos, but Russo's on a Netflix budget. But I don't know. The trailer looked good. I don't know. I'm looking forward to it, but I'm cautiously optimistic.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, let's see. Colby says Russo brothers peaked with Community. Ouch.
Well, Peter Colby's dead to me, but Bruce.
I don't know if I agree with that as far as like Infinity War. I'm not really crazy about their other. I mean, obviously Winter Soldier's great. It's just not really my thing. But yeah, Infinity War is definitely in my top 5 MCU movies. So, anyways. Endgame, not so much. Endgame, not so much. Not so much.
You know what I have to say to that?
What?
Judas!
Oh my god. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
There you
Say
go.
the line, Bart. Anyways.
Yeah.
Okay, number 8. Let's see. So for me, number 8, I've got Wicked for Good. And yeah, look, this is definitely going to be like almost guaranteed to be like at least a solid follow-up to Wicked, which, as Kogia said, it was it wasn't my top 10 most anticipated of last year, but I think it even kind of exceeded my expectations. Like, I feel like Wicked, along with Spielberg's West Side Story, are 2 of like the definitive musicals of the new century so far. I really feel like it's kind of like a little bit of a new golden age of movie musicals between those 2. My big issue with Wicked for Good, and anyone who's familiar with the play will know this, is that the second act of Wicked kind of falls off. It kind of falls off a little bit. It kind of devolves into a series of like ridiculous political plot points. It devolves into like, oh, look, this character turned into the Tin Man. This character turned into the Scarecrow. Let's see what the Cowardly Lion's up to. It's kind of like trying to connect all the dots back to Wizard of Oz. Everyone knows the songs in Act 2 are just straight up like across the board, not as good as the songs in Act 1. With that being said, I do think the reason I am excited about this still, in spite of that concern, is that with Wicked Part 1, they did prove that they're not afraid to kind of mess with the pacing. Like, and everyone who's seen Wicked Part 1 agrees that, like, the actual pace of the first film, while it is certainly like slower than the Broadway show, like that's a good thing because the Broadway show is covering a lot of stuff. It's covering a lot of politics, a lot of characters, a lot of world building, and it's doing it like it's basically speed running through it. And I feel like what Wicked Part 1 did and what just these movies getting split up into two parts is doing in general is allowing those story beats to actually breathe, to really take your time with it, to really sit in the emotions of the characters. In that respect, I'm actually thinking like I'm my hope for Wicked for Good is that they're going to really change it up. That they're really, because Wicked Part 1 was basically like for all intents and purposes, it was kind of a wall for wall, beat by beat adaptation. Except like I said, they just gave a little bit more room for the characters to breathe. Some in between scenes between the songs that weren't in the show. But with this, I'm kind of hoping that they just change it up. I'm hoping that the Wizard of Oz member berries is handled a little less like frivolously than it was in the show. I'm hoping that it's going to be, one thing I'm hoping for is the original songs, because all the original songs are going to be in this movie, and I'm hoping that they're going to be good. I'm hoping that they're going to fit naturally in. Obviously, the performances, like I'm really excited to see specifically Ariana Grande in this movie because she just killed it in the first movie, and her character has a lot more meat to chew on in the second act. Like her character is probably the most compelling thing about the second act of Wicked in general. So yeah, I'm really excited. We shall see how it goes. All right, number 8 on your end, Dragon.
The Naked Gun.
Naked Gun. Okay. Well, what were you saying about remakes?
Well, I know that's what I said, with exceptions.
Okay. Fair enough.
And plus this one, it might. I think the jury's out at this point if it's going to be reboot or remake. I heard somewhere it's going to be more reboot than remake, but I'm not sure. So I forget the official casting. Like we have like names, but I don't know if we know exactly who they're playing. If it's going to be like them playing the same characters, or what I've heard is that this is going to be a continuation because Frank Drebin in the third movie had he had a kid, and the kid's name would have been Frank Drebin Jr. So anyway. So this has been long speculated. I heard the genesis of the idea on this one. So that's why I'm very attached to seeing this. So I'm a huge fan of Police Squad and the Naked Gun movies. I love Leslie Nielsen, and of all the Zucker brothers movies, the Naked Gun films are easily my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
The original being the best, of course, because I was like I was like both Zucker brothers on and everything. It was the best that ever was. So Seth MacFarlane had the idea while he's working with Liam Neeson, essentially.
Is this a Seth MacFarlane directed movie?
That's the thing. He didn't. He's not directing. Okay, you are going to love who's directing this, though. He's not directing it, though.
Okay,
that's the thing. So unfortunately, Seth MacFarlane's not directing, but he came up with the idea and he's producing it. I believe he wrote it. He's producing it. I think he may have come up with the original, the baseline story, which then was ran with. I forget how much of a writing credit he has on it, but he's involved, and he had the inception of the idea of let's remake Naked Gun with with Liam Neeson as the Leslie Nielsen character.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I love that the initials line up on that. But yeah, seriously, Neeson doing comedy as a straight man is just an insanely good idea.
One of the things about Once Upon a Million Ways to Die in the West that was a highlight was Liam Neeson. I feel like that was kind of our first taste of what a really overtly comedic Liam Neeson performance could be like.
Yeah, and again, I think the big example, the real proof of concept was his cameo in Ted 2, where again that scene that was the premise of MacFarlane could run with this, with Liam Neeson in kind of like a lead in a lead role in a funny movie, but playing it completely straight.
So, it's also kind of a weird it mirrors Leslie Nielsen's trajectory where he was the straight man, essentially the straight man that the character would be a parody of.
Exactly, and remember, Leslie Nielsen, he didn't really, get into prominence, kind of like Rodney Dangerfield to an extent, until he was, kind of getting up there in age, which we're kind of at with Neeson now,
Right.
So yeah, I think the stars are just kind of aligned for this, and I was just really excited here. This thing was always speculated, but hearing that it was actually official and it's happening has me really excited for it. I mean, my concern is that McFarlane isn't directing, but the person we have, I mean, does have chops. So we have Akiva Schaffer. Now, Akiva Schaffer directed two movies of note. One of them was Chippendale Rescue Rangers. He did that movie.
Mm-hmm.
The other one, though, is one of your favorite movies. He did Popstar.
Oh yeah, for sure. He is a very good parody director.
So again, all that in mind, it does make me wonder if we're going to be doing if it's going to be a remake or just kind of like a sequel, where we just happen to he's going to mention his father was the original Frank Drebin or not. So that's going to be interesting. I'm down for it either way, but it does make me wonder. And look, here's the thing: with all the remakes, here's why ultimately of all like the remakes and reboots that we're doing, this one has me hyped versus the others. Besides all the McFarlane reasons I already mentioned. Again, there's no harm in doing this one. Okay, because sadly, we're living in an era where people have completely forgotten what Naked Gun even was, or forgetting what Naked Gun was, or what it is. And the the quality Zucker Brothers work, people have just kind of forgotten about it because Scary Movie ran into the ground, or all the other movies have just ran into the ground. And also, again, it's been 30 years. It's not really a hugely known. It's kind of getting to the point where it's starting to fall into obscurity. And also, we got to get away from like the one flaw in those movies. It doesn't hurt the movies, but only kind of contextually. It's like we got to get away from OJ being linked to those movies somehow.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, mind you, the great thing with OJ in this movie is that we beat him up in every scene. So actually, it ultimately works.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't feel bad about it. It's funny though. We knock them around, but just kind of like it's kind of karmic in a way. So they're kind of critic proof in that way. But still, let's get away from them.
Right.
Anyways, I'm looking forward to a good laugh with that movie.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So moving on to number 7. Number 7, you guys, is going to be Shelby Oaks, the feature film premiere of the one and only Chris Stuckman. Now, Dragon, I want you to put this to the test. When Shelby Oaks comes out, you can't have Tiki talk bad about my movie because I worked very, very hard on it. And I refuse to accept any kind. Okay, I'm gonna stop. I haven't busted that out in a while. What?
Is that what you think Chris Stuckman sounds like?
No, but it's my over-the-top impression of what Chris Stuckman sounds like. I know he doesn't actually sound like that. Anyways, my number 1 of 2023 is the anime movie The First Slam Dunk.
Well, don't give him the list.
He does have a little bit of a lisp.
I don't think he's.
I know I exaggerate it, but
I don't know about that.
All right. Anyways,
you make him sound like you remember at the end of Pee-wee's Big Adventure, the whole thing of like.
Oh God, paging Mr. Herman. Right. It is.
That's what you're stuck with sounds like. You sound like the dub of Pee-wee Herman.
Oh God.
Anyway, go on.
Okay, so yeah, but Shelby Oaks, Dragon, do you know anything about this as far as like Stuckman doing it?
I mean, it was pretty much his passion project, right?
Yeah.
That's
so, just with that in mind, he did do some interesting internet viral marketing stuff with this too, where he did create because basically what the premise of this movie is it's about a group of paranormal investigators who are essentially from YouTube's early days, 2000s era YouTube, where no one was getting paid for it. It was all passion project stuff. And so these people were essentially like ghost hunters, ghost investigators. And Stuckman actually set up this YouTube channel that did do this whole build up to them, encountering this entity, and then one of their the leader of the group going missing. And essentially this movie is going to pick back up with trying to find the leader of the group that's gone missing. And so Dragon, one of the things that I'm really intrigued with, if this was just a Chris Stuckman horror movie, I would be excited to see it just out of curiosity. But I will say I'm very hooked in by the premise of it's an old group of YouTube paranormal investigators back before YouTube was even a lucrative business sort of thing, kind of reuniting to try and find out what happened to one of their own who disappeared. That alone to me is just a really, really, really good hook. And I'm excited about it because I have so much nostalgia for old YouTube. And I think Stuckman can get really creative with this kind of storytelling. And I think especially with a low budget, I feel like a low budget actually works for this kind of story. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about this one, man. I don't know I don't know what the release is going to be like for this thing. I would certainly be willing to do like a Fathoms event screening of it, but I don't know. It might be one of those things where it drops digitally and I have to skip it in theaters. But either way, I'm excited to see it. And I kind of hope that once it's released, that Stuckman can kind of make a call one way or another if he wants to pursue filmmaking full time or if he wants to, go back to his channel. Because frankly, his channel is just kind of falling apart. But I respect that it's fallen apart because he's in the middle of a passion project. So, I'm honestly like, no disrespect to his channel, but I kind of feel like, especially with his policies of like not wanting to be critical about movies, I kind of feel like it's time to just hang up the YouTube thing and just devote yourself full time to movies, which I don't say in a bad way because I do have some faith in this. Colby says it's being released under Neon, which that is promising. Neon had a really good year this year, so yeah, hopefully it will go wide. All right, Dragon, you're number 7.
My number 7 is Mickey 17.
Okay, the only reason it wasn't on my list, I'm glad it's on your list, is that it was on my list last year, and it was like, oh, no, we're not actually releasing it. And I'm like, son of a bitch. But no, I'm glad you have it on your list because it definitely seems like the rare art house movie that actually is up your alley.
Oh yeah, I mean, I love the trailer for this. I still love the trailer for this. Of course, it helps. It uses one of my all-time favorite songs in the trailer, and that does help. But Bong Joon-ho, he did really impress with Parasite, and him directing a film in English really intrigues me. That's it's kind of like go from the anime to the dubbed anime. That's kind of it's kind of. It's kind of the vibe there, but yeah, I mean, it's a neat sci-fi premise. Or you got a pretty solid cast. I fundamentally like characters who can regenerate because it allows for interesting storytelling. Deadpool being the obvious example, but even I think this character has more in common with. Here's an obscure show no one's watched. I promise you, no one has watched this show. Forever, the show with Ian Grufford, from the Fantastic Four, Mr. Fantastic. He did this show called Forever, in which he played a doctor who essentially, through unexplained means, he found himself like he did something noble and he got shot off a ship way back in like the days of way back in like the 1800s, I think, maybe 1700s. He's like an old timey slave ship essentially. He was helping people out. And he got shot, and basically he became immortal. So that's why it's called Forever, because every time he'd fall in the water. Anytime he gets killed, he just wakes up in the water, and he regenerates and he comes back. And he's been doing that for years since the 1800s. So, anyways, the point being, the stories like that, so that has a little in common with Mickey in terms of the idea of mind you, it's much more through sci-fi means that we're doing it here. That he essentially signed his life away and he can be regenerated. But what effect that has on the character, I think, is really interesting. It's a heady idea. I'm very sold on it. I'm interested to see where it's going to go. Also, it's kind of fun that we have Steven Yeun in it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All righty, let's see.
He's getting around this year. This is Steven Yeun's year, by the way, because we got Invincible, we got Mickey 17, and we also have Thunderbolt. So he's getting around.
Yeah, true. Okay, so number 6 for me, Dragon. I'm actually curious if you've got this one on your list. It's this might be one that was kind of on the bubble for you. I still don't know what to make of this as far as like the continuity goes, like how in canon it is with other stuff we've been following in this franchise. But I gotta tell you, seeing the trailer, I am pretty excited for Karate Kid Legend.
See, this is the one that was on the bubble for me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I'm going to see it. I just don't know, I just don't know how soon I'm going to see it. But
I think it's really interesting. I think Do we know at all if there's going to be any continuity or if it's even in canon with Cobra Kai?
I was told yes. The way it's been described in interviews and stuff is that the way Cobra Kai wraps up would then lead into this. That is the
Okay.
presumption.
Okay.
That's the idea. At least I'm pretty sure. However, it does not seem that Johnny Lawrence is going to be in this movie though, because it doesn't seem like setting wise it makes sense for him to be.
I mean, we'll see. If anything, we might get some Cobra Kai cameos.
Yeah,
But
that's the thing. At the very, well, I guess they're keeping. If he's going to be in it, they're keeping it under wraps right now, given that the
but
show
one of the
hasn't
things I
finished
do
yet.
like about the approach so far that we've seen in the trailer is that just the character of Daniel LaRusso himself within Cobra Kai. I mean, I love Ralph Macchio, but Daniel LaRusso as a character, he's gotten a little bit flanderized over the years. As far as like, he's just, he's kind of like been reduced down to just like the guy who's obsessed with Mr. Miyagi's legacy and being a pacifist. And I kind of feel like this movie is going to be like, because obviously Cobra Kai, as you said, it was all about Johnny Lawrence, it was all about the actual Cobra Kai side of things. And Daniel LaRusso, through big parts of that, was either an antagonist or kind of like a joke in some ways. So I think this movie is going to it's basically going to be the Make Daniel LaRusso Badass Again movie. And I'm here for it. I'm here for that. I think it's going to be fun. Jackie Chan interacting with Daniel LaRusso, with Ralph Macchio, that's going to be a great crossover, kind of a meeting of two titans from across the shores. The one thing I'm worried about with this movie, though, Dragon, I really hope that we don't get too much into the weeds with the bullshit like, oh, well, maybe Mr. Miyagi wasn't a perfect guy. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I'm still very excited about it. As someone who's really enjoyed Cobra Kai, I mean, frankly, the last season has been incredibly hit or miss. I do hope that they go out strong in the last batch of episodes that they have, but I'm not really holding my breath. I'm kind of thinking that the show should have ended one season sooner than it did. But still, like I said, what do you think of the whole Daniel LaRusso like rehabilitating his image thing with this movie? Do you think I'm on point with that?
I mean, I think I think pairing him with Jackie Chan's character from the remake, I think is a good move. I think that'll kind of take him along. It sounds like that character knew Mr. Miyagi. I think that's I don't know how official that is, but it sounds like that's the premise. I don't know. I think you're right. I think it would be something that would. The point being, with the damage we've done the last season at Cobra Kai, we need something to kind of set it right. And they've been building towards this goal of doing a movie to kind of put them back on the big screen. So I think they really have to get it right. I mean, I'm a little worried that none of our Cobra Kai creatives are on that, but maybe that's a good thing. Just given how far they've kind of driven things, but
Right.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Kogia says, I don't think I've seen any of the Cobra Kai of the Karate Kid films. I have not either, Kogias. Cobra Kai is incredibly accessible to somebody who's new to the franchise. If you don't know something that's in the movies, they will catch you up on it, right, Dragon?
That's true.
They will not let you get lost.
Yeah.
They will let you know exactly.
Yeah, you can watch Cobra Kai, you'll be fine. Trust me. You'll feel like you watched the whole movie. Trust me.
Exactly. All right. You're number 6, Dragon.
Nobody 2.
Okay. Well, Dragon, I'm terribly sorry, but this is an actually appropriate time when I can break out. I don't know, man. I'm just kind of sick of John Wick movies. All right. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
How dare you besmirch Odenkirk?
I'm sorry. I'm teasing.
So I really loved the first Nobody film. It was like the film that motivated me during the pandemic. It was like Nobody. I still really love that film. Both from a marketing standpoint, I loved it. Just watching it, I thought it was good. Fundamentally, I don't think nobody needs a sequel. But I'd be kidding myself if I said I wasn't going to watch it.
Right.
I say, look, fundamentally, I feel like Nobody just should have been a one and done. But still, just like Christopher Lloyd, with shotguns in an RV driving cross country, you kind of want to know what happened. Where do we go from there?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so I'm purely it's really pure curiosity and just a love of Odenkirk and kind of the action setting he's applied himself to, and I mean there was speculation like could we have a crossover with with nobody in the John Wick universe, which may or may not be on the table. I don't know. I wouldn't. So given what we're doing with the ballerina, I don't know what's on the table now. So because we found ways to bring John Wick back, but in ways that would not contradict how the last one ended. So I don't know. Point being, just taking it on its own merits, nothing's really known about this movie, but regardless, just on good faith, I'm very hyped for it.
Cool, cool. All right, short and sweet. Okay, moving on to number 5. We get into my first of my untitled movies. Although Paragon, if you're still in the comments, it's still untitled on Wikipedia. But if you could illuminate with me, the untitled Paul Thomas Anderson movie. So yeah, this is like one of those things where, okay, I guess it's called the Battle of Bacton Creek. So let's go with that, the Battle of Bacton Creek. This is like, I really don't like it. It's just the talent involved here. The talent involved is just absolutely fucking stacked. Paul Thomas Anderson, who I will admit has not had like a great trajectory. Like I definitely like his early films, his run from like Magnolia, Punch Drunk Love, There Will Be Blood, The Master, Boogie Nights, all of those just absolutely dynamite, like some of the best cinema of the 2000s, like bar none. His last few films, not so much. Phantom Thread, some people really like Phantom Thread. I thought it was just kind of okay. Inherent Vice was kind of a mess. Licorice Pizza, I love elements of Licorice Pizza. I love parts of Licorice Pizza, but as a whole, it didn't really come together all that well for me. But Paul Thomas Anderson, just because of those early movies that are just frankly masterpieces, I'm always going to see anything that he does. And I'm just going to read out this cast to you, all right? So we got like Leo DiCaprio. Leo, oh boy! Regina Hall, Sean Penn, Benicio del Toro, Alana Haim, who was Alana Haim was the love interest in Licorice Pizza, so that's exciting to see her coming back. Just a lot of heavy hitters here, a lot of heavy hitters. Besides Alana Haim, it's kind of exciting that it's going to be mostly people who have not worked with Paul Thomas Anderson before, because Paul Thomas Anderson, that's one of the things I respect about him is that he will bring back people. Like, for example, he worked with Daniel Day-Lewis on Phantom Thread after working with him on There Will Be Blood. But he's not like a director like a Wes Anderson where he's locked in with the cast that he has, and like basically every movie like a couple people get added to the clubhouse. Like, no, he really likes to go out of his way to kind of diversify the cast that he has and who he works with. And these are some like super talented actors that he has not gotten on board with yet. I don't even need to know the premise. I'm on board. I will be seeing this. I just hope it actually comes out in 2025. Let's see. Colby says, yeah, the Battle of Bacton Creek. Kokias, yeah, Paul Thomas Anderson's movies, maybe not for you. Maybe not for you. If anything, I'd be curious to see if There Will Be Blood actually landed for you, because that's definitely like his masterpiece. But probably not, because it's a 3-hour movie about an oil man. Like, knowing your taste, that's probably not something you're into. So yeah. All right, Dragon, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is Elio.
Hello. All right. I want to be more excited about this movie than I am. The ads just have not been selling me on it.
Yeah, so this was the delayed Pixar film. Due to strikes and everything. It's been well, I guess just due to a lot of factors, but it's been kind of shifted around and moved around. The teaser was a really fun sell for me. I like the idea of like the intimate kind of final words of this shy kid to his aunt, and then he gets then gets abducted, and it's the whole like premise of what does "take me to your leader" mean? When you actually answer the question,
Mm-hmm.
So my fear is the big. It's kind of an exciting gamble of sorts to a degree. my my fear is, so this movie changed hands creatively, which with Pixar can go one of two ways. So could go the Ratatouille way, which that's the best case scenario. You want it to go the Ratatouille direction, where we've changed hands, but it was for the better ultimately. On the flip side, you have something like Brave or Good Dinosaur. Brave being kind of in the middle, and then Good Dinosaur, well, it's the Good Dinosaur. Because this was presumably Adrian Molina's. He was a story man on Toy Story. He was storyboard artist on Toy Story 3, who then went on to co-direct Coco with Lee Unkrich, which was great. And this was supposed to be his big solo directing gig, and then ultimately now here's the thing: he didn't. The word is he left to do another project, which I assume to be another Pixar film, which is just very unusual. So you'd imagine, well, he's already gotten his solo Pixar film. Why would he go to another one?
Right.
But but it's in the hands of Domei Shi, so that it.
Oh, okay, yeah, I forget about that. Yeah, and she is definitely.
Yeah.
It's nice to see like up and coming talent at Pixar actually get a second shot.
So that's the thing. So she's taken the reins, which again gives me hope for the Ratatouille direction. It's like, well, it's going to some other skilled hands. We liked her work, I'm hopeful for it. He has some fun alien designs. I love the Brad Garrett character from the trailer. It's like the best joke in the trailer. It's
Everyone
just again
was shocked. The delivery is classic. Everyone was shocked.
God. I just really, I think ultimately the film's biggest hurdle is going to be the challenge of how do you make the UN commercially viable? It's essentially they're ambassadors for other planets in the cosmos. Essentially, they're galactic UN. Essentially, we're taking the one scene from Lilo and Stitch and we're turning into a movie. That's going to be difficult.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying that's a creative challenge. I want to see. Okay, let's see him make the boring parts of the prequels work. Let's see him do it.
Okay, nice. Alrighty, so my number 4, Dragon. I'm such a fucking sucker. I am going to get so screwed over by this movie, just like I do with every fucking movie in this franchise, besides Jurassic Park 3, which is actually fun on a B movie level. It's gonna be Jurassic World Rebirth. Why do I keep doing this to myself, Dragon? Why do I keep doing this to myself? I'm genuinely excited for this, and I feel so stupid for doing that. I feel so stupid for having hope. I feel like a fool, Dragon. All right? Help me, Dragon.
Tiki. Just at a certain point. I mean, how many times with Tiki this year they could have just done the Battle of Big Rock and went home, but they didn't do that,
But that's what we might get in this movie.
Come on, Tiki,
it's Gareth Edwards, he's
it's Gareth Edwards, and Gareth Edwards has never let you down before, has he?
Oh my god, you're so right. You're so fucking right. He literally did let me down with Godzilla.
Yeah, he gave me.
Oh no. Okay. I like this movie's cast a lot more than I like the cast of the Jurassic World films. I'll say that much. Jonathan Bailey in particular, I'm really looking forward to, and I feel like he's playing against type. Like he's going from Fiyero, who's essentially like the nice version of Gaston, to essentially like a dorky, nerdy paleontologist, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm genuinely excited for that. But god damn it, Dragon, at the end of the day, it's fucking CGI dinosaurs and it's gonna be cool and I'm gonna look forward to it and I'm gonna eat the movie up like popcorn and it's gonna be like total movie junk food. But yeah, I don't know. I can't help myself, dude. I can't help myself.
You got problems,
okay.
Tiki.
Yeah, Colby says, I'm with you, Tiki.
There may or may not be dinosaur people in this movie. You do realize that, right?
Oh god. Don't. Oh.
Tiki, no, I'm serious. There's a legit.
I know. Just let me have this.
Let you have this?
Yes. Okay. Colby says, I'm with you, Tiki. Jurassic Park is my favorite movie of all time, and I'm always just hoping and praying that maybe they'll get it this time.
Tiki, there's only one way this movie will be the best Jurassic Park movie ever. Jurassic World by proxy of Jurassic Park movie ever, okay? If they go back to the original site and they're exploring, and they find the carousel.
Oh my, yes.
They go on, that's where they uncover, like, if John had they actually gone, here's the whole
It's
time.
like all of John Hammond's secrets are in the second half.
Exactly.
Of that
if they just, that's the big plot point of the movie is, okay, how do we stop everything? How do we, like, revive the Barbasol? How do we do all this? We get on the rises. Oh, hello. And there's like only very briefly in AI, somewhat briefly. You just have you, but again, because it was already kind of an AI thing anyway with the pre-recorded footage.
Yeah.
It's just, oh yes, and all my secrets you'll find here. That's how we stop the dinosaur uprising.
The dinosaur uprising.
Then the other John comes in like, oh, thank you, John. Oh.
Oh God!
This is why we don't splice the dinosaur DNA with the human DNA. Oh yes, and if this does happen, break glass in case of emergency. And you find my cane, and you'll break it open. You'll find the DNA that will save the world. Okay.
Oh God, that's great. That's delightful.
It's the only way you're going to salvage that movie.
Okay. Let's see. Little Blue says the new Jurassic Park film is being directed by the same guy who brought us Rogue One, and he himself was more than happy to direct this, and how much he loves Jurassic Park. Everyone loves Jurassic Park, Eli. Everybody loves Jurassic Park. That doesn't mean they're going to do it justice.
That's true.
Kogia says, I would feel excited for the upcoming Jurassic World film if it was another reunion starring the cast. Same, honestly, and like as much as people shit on Jurassic World Dominion, and they do have a right to shit on that movie.
Locust?
I know. But the only thing that I was going into that movie actively hoping for was that they got the legacy characters right, and they did. Okay, I'm sorry, but they did. Ian Malcolm, Alan Grant, and Ellie Sattler were in the same scene at the same time for multiple scenes, interacting off of each other. Ian Malcolm was still being a creep to Ellie Sattler. It was great. I love the whole premise of InGen basically hiring Ian Malcolm to be their dancing like scientist monkey because they just like having him on the payroll to entertain them. I like that we bring back Dawson, even if it's played by an obviously different actor. We got Dawson here. See, nobody cares. Literally, nobody cares.
Don't you mean Dawson?
Yeah, Dawson. Yeah. So I don't know. There's elements of Jurassic World Dominion. Like I go so back and forth on the Jurassic World movies because all of them have absolute dog shit parts of them, but all of them also have parts. I think Fallen Kingdom is probably my least favorite out of the three, honestly, if I were to pick one. But I can't say that I like the original Jurassic World better than Dominion, just because I really don't think the original Jurassic World, like, it did not make the mark on what I wanted that movie to be. And like I said, with Dominion, at that point in the franchise, literally all I wanted was was those legacy characters interacting with each other. And I got that, and it was good. So yeah. You're right, though, Colby. Dominion would have been better if it did have, in fact, dinosaurs, which hopefully this movie will.
You know what I'm just imagining the more you dig in the hole with the Jurassic World movie. I'm just imagining, like an ABC after school special, and you're the kid brother from the Mitchells versus the Machines. He's basically, it'll get better, just very very optimistic, but as if you're in it's like an after school special about having abuse coming from an abusive family of sorts. Only it's an abusive relationship with a film franchise.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Stephen will come back. It'll be good. It'll be good again.
He'll come back. Oh my God!
I mean, he made a move. He'll come back.
Oh God! All right. Touche.
Dennis Mirren, save me.
Oh man. Okay. So yeah, Dragon. What is your number 4?
Thunderbolts Asterix.
Thank you for saying Asterix. I appreciate that. All right.
So so I'm definitely looking forward to this because we spent a lot of time building this one up in all those Disney Plus series. This is like the big the Contessa, Val, the Contessa. She's been assembling essentially a Black Ops version of the Avengers. They're vehemently saying it's not Dark Avengers, which I don't know. That's to throw people off the center because Sebastian Stan has said that it's more like the Breakfast Club, so it's more Band of Misfits than it is full on kind of like a more dark version of the Avengers. But I mean, it's also like addressing. what I expect this film to do is address like the status quo of the MCU, which is like the Avengers disbanded after Endgame, and there is a void to be filled, and we've been kind of building that, building the roster in the background of these shows, and I mean that coupled with I really love our director we have on this, Jake Schreier working on this, and of course he was the director on Kidding, so I'm very happy to see him tackle the MCU and what he might do with it because that's an unusual pick for an MCU film, and I think that I don't know, just knowing what
You're
that
right.
guy,
It is. Yeah.
just knowing what that guy does on the small screen with interpersonal relationships, especially with kind of like screwed up characters, I could absolutely see him doing something really interesting here with these characters. And we have a really cool lineup of characters, Taskmaster notwithstanding. That is Taskmaster's the well, no, I guess a bit of a pun intended. That Taskmaster's the one we need to take the task on this one because we really botched Taskmaster and Black Widow, and I don't know if it's salvageable. I mean, my hope is maybe we just pass the moniker down to somebody else. I don't know. At the very least, I don't want Taskmaster taking off the mask. I just want to keep Taskmaster as Taskmastery as the aesthetic will allow. Anyway, so big thing. I'm thrilled for John Walker, U.S. agent, and Red Guardian, being paired together. I'm so looking forward to that. It just seems to be comedy gold to me again. Like kind of the two kind of wannabe Captain Americas just kind of paired together. It seems like it's going to be a lot of fun.
And then Bucky, the guy who people like try to slot into the Captain America role, but actively doesn't want it.
Yeah, so I'm very interested to see Bucky's role is going to be because you have to hope it was going to be something really good to warrant why he is not in the new Captain America movie.
That's true. That's true. Yeah,
they got to put him in here for a good reason. Otherwise, it's like why did we do this? I know Bucky has had his interactions with the Thunderbolts in the comics, but it's got to be a little bit more than that. I'd hope. Okay, there's one other thing that has me concerned with this movie. This film is featuring one of my least favorite, not least favorite in terms of these like the worst character ever. The character historically, I've always been checked out about. We're featuring the Sentry in this movie, and they're gonna have to really. I'm not saying it can't be done, but they have to really sell me on the Sentry because it's ingrained in me not to like that character.
right.
It's basically Marvel's knockoff of Superman. It just feels like, which we kind of already did with Icarus, so maybe it's going to soften the blow. I don't know, but I know it's not one for one in that case. Literally, Sentry is like in the comics is very much, he's kind of like a Marvel-y version of Superman. I know that's reductive. I know there's like a few things with the Sentry, but that's what I'm saying. The Sentry is really boring as heck. Okay, he's boring and overpowered. No one cares. So that's why you don't see a lot of the Sentry around. If you're reading your Marvel comics, you're looking at the branding. Even it's like Sentry because you have to explain the Sentry. Then no one's gonna care. So he's my biggest concern with the movie. So we're gonna see how that works plot wise. I hope it goes well. Again, I have faith in the director, and it seems fun. I like our band of misfits. So let's see.
All right. Kogief says Thunderbolts Asterix is a film that I think has potential, but I'm struggling to get excited for it. It has decent characters, but lacks characters I love. I also feel sick of Bucky because he's mid. I disagree with that. Sebastian Stan is genuinely one of the most talented actors in the MCU right now. So, anyways, okay. Yeah, let's see. So, my number 3, Dragon, is going to be a movie that I know for a fact you have absolutely no excitement about whatsoever. But for me, it's going to be 28 Years Later. I love a good time jump. You know me. I love a good time jump. This is it. I'm really looking forward to this one, man. I don't think this one would be in my top 10 if it weren't for the fact that Danny Boyle was coming back to direct. Because honestly, man, Danny Boyle, if I'm remembering right, the last movie he did was fucking Yesterday, the movie about the guy who like is the only person in the world who knows the Beatles songs after the weird electric thing or whatever. And that movie fell flat on its face. So I'm really hoping that Danny Boyle, because Danny Boyle is once again kind of like Paul Thomas Anderson. That dude did do some of the all-time best movies of our era, like, between stuff like Trainspotting, 127 Hours, the original 28 Days Later, Steve Jobs, even I would put in that equation. Like Danny Boyle is an incredibly talented director. And going back to this world that he created, and he really did like jumpstart the zombie movement. I mean, people credit The Walking Dead for that, but 28 Days Later was as far as I know, that was before the Walking Dead comic even. And I think The Walking Dead did borrow quite a bit from 28 Days Later. And so yeah, I'm really excited for the world building. I'm really excited for the direction. I haven't looked too much into the cast. I know that Cillian Murphy is supposed to be in it in some capacity, which is really interesting.
Oh yeah, he's the emaciated looking guy in the pile.
Right, yeah. So I think the trailer is honestly a masterclass of editing. I really think it does a great job of building suspense with like the repeated radio message. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. Honestly, for a period of time, this might have been my number one, like right after the trailer came out. But I don't know, like out of Danny Boyle's like best movies, I think 28 Days Later, it's great. It's not like I wouldn't put it up there with something like Trainspotting. I think Trainspotting to this day is probably his absolute like top tier There Will Be Blood level masterpiece. But 28 Days Later is definitely like it was a revolutionary movie, and I'm less sick of zombie stuff than I am of like Dracula stuff, which is why I didn't really respond that well to Nosferatu. So yeah, really excited about this. We'll see how it goes. All right, number 3, Dragon.
Captain America: Brave New World.
All right.
So, diehard Captain America fan for as far as the MCU goes. I also loved not the villain notwithstanding. I loved Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Uh-huh.
The villain, I acknowledge the villain stunk. They dropped the ball on the villain. There's like a moment of potential, and he's killed it. Otherwise, though, I thought the show was great. It was great. It was a great setup for the Cap 4, Captain America: Brave New World. And I am rooting for the success of this so hard. I really want this to go well because there's a lot riding on this one. This is kind of like we had the cushion of Deadpool and Wolverine. That kind of satiated, that kind of cleared the board, that kind of got everyone hyped up again. And this is going to be our real splash. Can we get back on the ball? Can we? It's a Captain America movie, which already has an expectation of quality. We love Anthony Mackie. This is a big shot for him. I just really hope there are two things that kind of worry me with this movie. I think we have a gross of writers, versus like Malcolm Spellman wrote Falcon and the Winter Soldier. He was the showrunner, and he was the guy. He was the lead voice on that show, which shows in a lot of places. And the fact that it's him and a bunch of other people working on this in the writing department does, I wonder if maybe that's what's complicated the MCU at times, is changing so many hands writing wise. Because if you think about it, the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, that's essentially one writer. Now, mind you, I don't want to discredit her. I'm just saying Nicole Perlman, she brought it to the table, and then James Gunn took it over, and then he very much after that he ran with it. It very much became James Gunn's kind of thing, like solo writer. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Then we had our writing duos with the Captain America. I'm saying keeping it to 1 to 2 writers seems to be, getting people on board telling a story versus people taking multiple passes at it. And I'm not saying that can't work sometimes if we go beyond that. The Ant-Man movie, for example, Ant-Man had number of hands on it, but that worked out pretty well. But again, then you have the whole Edgar Wright debate. But let's not. Sorry, I'm drifting off focus. My point is, I just really hope you don't drop the ball with the Isaiah Bradley component of the story, because he was a huge emotionally grounding element of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I really hope we don't underwrite him. Like, if, for example, premise seems to be he tries to assassinate the president, and he's going to be in trouble, and it's up to Sam to kind of get him out of trouble by on kind of finding a conspiracy and everything. Now, that's a good plot. I just really hope we don't throw Isaiah under the bus, or really kind of grind things to a halt to really just do things that are out of character for someone like Isaiah. I don't want to set him back or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I got a good feeling about it. I mean, I gotta be honest, man. Just in like the trailers, just Sam Wilson, Captain America calling out the Red Hulk, knowing this character is not a super soldier, is beyond cool to me. It's like, yes, It's like, oh my God. He's calling out the Hulk, and he is unafraid because he's had about, you get a sense of like in the third act or something, he's had it up to here with Hulk. So he's like, you know what? Come at me. It's like, yes,
right.
yes. It's like these are the moments I live for as a Cap fan. Like, yes, I want people to come out of this movie and again. Mind you, Falcon Winter Soldier, it does feel like we're going to hit like the multiverse of madness thing where you really should have watched that show to get ready for this. But by the same token, though, if they can like summarize things really well here, I think this could be a good standalone for him as Cap, because a lot of it's just him working up the courage to take the shield and we give him a costume. We could, in theory, go in cleanly at this if we handle Isaiah Bradley well enough.
Mm-hmm.
So I really think it could be something good. It could be something that we really need to bolster, Falcon Cap, man. I think it could be really good, and it'd be just the note that we need to start things off and get people excited about the MCU again. So I'm definitely dialed in. I got skin in the game on this one. I'm rooting for it to go well.
All right. I am not going to read off Kogias's comment about Cap's like Steve Rogers because it's just going to break your heart.
Yep.
We'll just ignore that. Okay, Dragon. My number 2 is going to be your favorite franchise, Avatar, Fire and Ash, Fire Nation, baby. Yeah, no, here's the thing. I already kind of explained this when we did the debate, and I was earnest when I said what I said in the debate. The Avatar movies are not great as far as like storytelling, although I do think one of the reasons I'm excited for it is that there is potential for the storytelling in this franchise to get better. I think Way of Water, the story wasn't great, but at least it was a little bit more original than what we had in Avatar 1, which was, essentially like the Dances with Wolves, Ferngullian space thing. Way of Water is definitely derivative in some regards, but I definitely feel like it's a little bit more original. And I think Fire and Ash, the problem with Fire of Ash, and as far as originality goes, is I am worried that it's going to be a little bit like the other Avatar as far as like the Fire Nation being the bad guys and taking over the other Na'vi. I'm kind of worried we're going to get a little bit derivative with that. But what I am looking forward to, and I said this in the debate, and I mean it, is James Cameron just reliably does really good movies that are essentially 3-hour theme park rides. Like, these are not movies that I watch at home, but these are movies that I am genuinely excited to go see in the movie theater, in that big screen, in 3D, to just be taken away and transported with the visuals. I mean, I know I talk a lot of shit about CGI, but James Cameron knows how to do it, and he knows how to have it be impressive and have it be transformative and have it be like one of those, like, a movie that really lives up to how Nicole Kidman hypes up movies as escapism, Like I said, these aren't great movies. These aren't great beacons of storytelling. But as far as actual, like, movie theater experiences that I'm excited about this year, there's not much that tops Avatar, Fire and Ash. I'm really looking forward to seeing the trailer. I'm really looking forward to seeing the look of the Fire Nation, for lack of a better term for them. I'm excited to see the evolution of some of the characters. Spider, in particular, was left in kind of an interesting place at the end of the last movie. Quaritch is supposed to be in all of these movies and go through a major arc, so I'm excited to see what they do with him next. Obviously, Neytiri kind of had that great sort of like motherly fury scene at the end of the last movie, so she's going to have some interesting development. Jake Sully kind of continues to just be the, just kind of like, he's there. He's a solid, good guy. His family is his fortress, but we'll see. But like I said, I do think that the Avatar movies, like part 2 was definitely better than part 1. And with this, if Avatar is going to go to 5, this is going to be the middle movie, which means it's going to be the turning point, which means this could potentially, like, just as far as like the order of these movies goes, this could be the Empire Strikes Back of Avatar. This could be the one where shit gets dark, and I'm excited for that. I'm really excited for it. I'm excited to see the look of the world. I'm excited to see the look of the new Na'vis. Just straight up excited for the movie theater experience I'm going to get with this, if not the story.
it just really feels like to me, James Cameron at a certain point he's just like flipping through the channels one day, so he saw Avatar: Last Airbender. You know what? I want that title. I want to do my version of Avatar.
Right, right.
I'm gonna I did just very in a very petty way, just like, you know what? I'm gonna do my own Avatar movie, and I'm gonna make that name my own.
Oh God.
I'm gonna make mints of money.
All right, you're probably not wrong about that.
Yeah. It
Okay,
would be
you're
really
number
funny if he admitted that. That'd be hysterical. He just said,
right.
"Yeah, I just really like the show." I say, I say very casually, "Yeah, I ripped off the name. That was me." All right, so number two. Okay, I want to be very clear. Okay, number one and two were a big toss up. They were very tied for the number one spot, but number two is Superman.
Ooh, okay. Fantastic Four is not quite on my list. Superman was very close to making the list. I obviously knew you were going to have it on your list, so I decided to leave some room for more of my weird indie shit. But make no mistake, out of all the franchise stuff I'm looking forward to this year, I guess besides Avatar, this is up there. I mean, just because of James Gunn. Like, I trust James Gunn. He has not let me down yet. So go ahead though.
The other thing, so it's just fundamentally, Superman deserves a good movie that'll hopefully be loved the way the Donner Superman movie was. And I want to be clear: I'm not saying replace Donner Superman in our hearts or minds or anything, because how can you? It's history. But I just Superman needs the goodwill. He needs the goodwill and like a film to represent the character. I think James Gunn seems to be on the right path to do that. It seems like he really cares about this. He really wants to do right by Superman, and just starting him in a status quo where superheroes are already there, which we never start with it's like superheroes as an established thing when we tell the Superman story, which already is very promising. It's very exciting. I know a lot of people are rooting for this to fail. Not everyone, but a lot of people are before
Yeah,
even
just the
giving it a.
Snyder fanboys. I don't take him too seriously.
Well, that's what I mean. It's just people rooting for the fail without giving it a chance, and I really hope they're wrong. Because this thing, it looks good. It kind of gives you there's something exciting. There's something kind of nostalgic yet new at the same time. It just feels special. It feels like I don't think James Gunn's going to drop the ball on this. I think he's going to really deliver. Mind you, all the stakes are on this movie for him, because if this movie doesn't do good, this DC universe plan, it's going to go belly up. And it's so interesting how many times this kind of if you think about it, Tiki, this happens often. The DCEU very much lived or died by Man of Steel, and again, there was lifeblood to get to another movie, and then when that tanked, it was like but again, Man of Steel did light the charge, and that's why we have the Snyder fans, because Man of Steel did a lot of things right.
Sure.
As I'm saying though, by the same token though, if Superman doesn't deliver, we're in trouble.
Yeah, I hear you.
So I'm hopeful for it. I'm rooting for it. I know in my bones it's going to be, at the bare minimum, it's going to be a good movie. I think it's going to be a great movie. I really do.
But Dragon, the question is it going to be a movie?
I think the question is it going to be super?
Yeah.
Yeah. So so definitely Superman's it easily is a highly could have been number one, but I kind of have reasons for the other one. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Koki. So you're not the only person in our circles that doesn't like James Gunn, but yes, I have to say I disagree. James Gunn is one of my favorite filmmakers, but I digress. I can see how if you don't have like a cynical sense of humor, you wouldn't like him.
Okay,
Anyways,
can I bring up a random aside?
sure.
I always thought of like the really if Deadpool would ever break the fourth wall and just call out James Gunn for like what he's doing at DC, I would love. I'd love him to say, like in complimenting what he's doing, or just talking about his work on Guardians or something. Just a compliment to James Gunn. If Deadpool would just like just shout triumphantly, "That's it, Jimmy, get your gun!"
Oh my god. Wow. Okay. All right, my number one Dragon. It's an untitled one. Hell yeah, we're going untitled Trey Parker movie starring Kendrick Lamar. Isn't that a fucking mouthful?
Yeah.
Look, here's the deal with this. I am a South Park diehard. I will watch anything that these guys put out. But like South Park is wonderful. South Park is great. I will always watch South Park. It was very very formative to me in my youth. But you know, for better or for worse, like whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, pick your poison. It was probably a bad thing that was so formative to me in my youth. But I really think that Matt Stone and Trey Parker they shine outside of South Park, like you know stuff like their Casa Bonita project, even, but also stuff like Book of Mormon, which is a big deal. It's still a big deal in the Broadway community. Team America, Real Police, like I feel like Matt Stone and Trey Parker are in that kind of like Seth MacFarlane mold where yeah, they have the show that they're recognized for, but they also have a lot of original ideas that they've been swimming around. Dragon, South Park basically took a year off last year because of the election. They just didn't feel like covering the election again. They feel like they kind of mined all the material that they could have from Trump during the last election cycle. So with that in mind, it's very exciting that we're getting a full-blown movie musical from them. And Kendrick Lamar is the star. That to me is very enticing. Dragon, I know that you're not caught up on the rap scene. Believe me, I'm not really either. But Kendrick Lamar is one of those artists that if you're into music at all, even if rap isn't really your thing, like you know of Kendrick and you respect Kendrick. I mean, Kendrick has come out with some of the absolute best albums of the last like 20 years as far as just like being works of art, you know, as far as like turning on an album and having it really tell a story, having every track be essential to the overall artistic statement. I think Kendrick Lamar is an incredibly important artist. I think he's going to be one of those people that people are going to make biopics out of him in the future. He's like that level of like influential. And frankly, with the message that he puts into his music, and given the current situation that our country finds ourselves in, I'm really excited to see the South Park guys team up with Kendrick. Like that to me it's almost a match made in heaven, man. I'm stoked for this. I don't care what the premise is. I just like I love the South Park sense of humor. I love Kendrick's sense of like social awareness and how he communicates his message. And I think this is going to be great. I mean, it could totally fall on its face. It could be like that fucking Key and Peele movie about the dog. Do you remember that?
Yeah, wait, don't you mean the cat?
Yes, the cat.
Yeah, Keanu.
Yeah, that fell flat on its face. And this movie could be Keanu. I make no bones about it. This movie could be Keanu. But at the very least, it's going to be fun. And at most, I mean, we might be looking at like a masterpiece here if the cards play out right. Matt Stone and Trey Parker have not directed a movie in a long time. But like I said, I do think that some of their like non-South Park stuff hits the most out of anything in their career. I mean, I think Book of Mormon especially like stands toe to toe with anything they've done with South Park, just as far as cultural impact and popularity goes. So yeah, I'm very, very excited for this. Obviously, like I said, the Kendrick factor also has me like doubly excited. It's just two of my favorite artistic minds in the industry right now. Yeah, I'm stoked. All right, really quick. Kogia says I'm not a fan of Pedro. Or okay, well we'll get to Fantastic Four. Colby says your takes continue to astound me, Kogias. All right, Dragon, what's your number one?
All right, shocker, I know. Fantastic Four first.
It's all good. It's all good. I mean, there is very much reason to be excited about this one.
Yeah, so Fantastic Four First Steps. This is a big milestone for the MCU. Fantastic Four. At the end of the day, if I'm measuring this against Superman, as much as I'm genuinely excited and hyped for Superman, by the same token, you know, we already have like, you know, a really good Superman movie. We've had a couple really good Superman movies between animated and live action alike, specifically, you know, the Donner Superman films. But by that logic, Fantastic Four, they haven't truly gotten a fair shake at a great movie. They are overdue for a great movie, and they deserve it. And if I look looking at the tomes of history here, I when back when we had like the big Fox deal happen, my priority was not like, oh, thank God we have the X-Men back. No, it's the Fantastic Four, because again, we still haven't given them a fair shake, and they are like, again, the very first, like in the Stan Lee era, the first, Stan Lee created, Marvel heroes that we had. They're important. They ushered in the 60s Marvel. They are pivotal. They are absolutely, they're absolutely necessary, and they were always like the missing piece of the MCU at every turn. Plus, they like between Galactus and the Skrulls and Doctor Doom and all this all this stuff, and the fact Reed Richards, one of the great minds that could possibly rival Tony Stark. So it was like there's so much. There's always that was always like the missing piece, and we finally have it. And it was always like, oh, okay, we keep inching close to it. Can we finally do the Fantastic Four? And the day is finally upon us. It's just I've been waiting for this one for a long time, and this is the key to the next phase. All right, it all rides on this one, okay? Because everything we're getting up to this point is just like, Deadpool Wolverine was the palate cleanser, on the big, as far as the big screen is concerned, Captain America, Brave New World, that's the one that's gonna basically show, okay, we're on a good track here, and the Fantastic Four is the payoff. Fantastic Four is like, okay, here's our big one here. Here's the one that shows you we're getting to the fundamental core of what Marvel can be and what it is and the history of it. And then of course it's going to be very important getting into that next phase with with Secret Wars and Doomsday and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important, and I love the aesthetic, the '60s period setting aesthetic, and it looks really, really pleasing. All the concept, this Marvel movie might have the best concept art ever, just given like all the stuff that we've seen promotional.
It is really good concept art, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. There's just I am so ridiculously hyped for this movie, and I'm just, as I'm saying, I could just see it going really well. The Silver Surfer thing we're going to see, it sounds like we're getting two for the price of one, which works fine, okay, but that's the only hesitation I have about it. But again, I'm not going to judge it before we see the movie. So the whole dating game little clip that we saw still has me hyped. Oh my God, we're fully going, we are going all out '60s period setting. This is going to be so much fun, and Pedro Pascal's
right, yeah.
I'm just, we have a great cast. I'm hyped.
All right. Okay, Dragon. Let's go through our lists one more time. I will start. Number 10, I've got The Monkey. Number 9, The Life of Chuck. Number 8, Wicked for Good. Number 7 is Shelby Oaks by Chris Stockman. Sorry. Number 6, Karate Kid Legend. Number 5, untitled Paul Thomas Anderson film, although I know it has a title. Wikipedia needs to update that. Number 4 is going to be Jurassic World Rebirth, because I am weak. I have no standards.
Nope.
Number 3 is going to be 28 Years Later. Number 2, Avatar Fire and Ash, basically because, ooh, pretty visuals. And number 1 is going to be untitled Trey Parker film starring Kendrick Lamar.
All right, my 10. Let's see, Zootopia 2. The Electric State. Well, sorry, number 10, Zootopia 2. Number 9, The Electric State. Number 8, The Naked Gun. Number 7, Mickey 17. Number 6, Nobody 2. Number 5, Elio. Number 4, Thunderbolts, asterisks. Number 3, Captain America, Brave New World. Number 2, Superman. Number 1, Fantastic Four, First Steps.
There you go. All right, well, it's been a fun time, folks, recapping our favorite movies of the year and looking forward to the future. We still got a couple end of the year things, as far as Peregrine and I very soon are going to do a couple things. We're going to do a spoiler cast for The Brutalist over the weekend that probably no one besides us is even going to care about, but we got to talk about it. It's going to be intellectually stimulating, as Harrison Van Buren would say. We also have, we're going to go over the Academy Awards of the last 25 years once the Oscar nominations hit, which is just a thing that Peregrine and I have been wanting to do for a while. And then, of course, we still got the Golden Tikis. Vote on them. Keep those votes coming, baby. Dragon, anything coming up on your neck of the woods that people should know about?
Well, yeah. So, well, this week again, assuming nothing gets in the way of it, we're continuing our Dragon Ball retrospective series. We're covering the World Martial Arts Tournament, the 21st World Martial Arts Tournament. So we're very much we're in kind of like it's more like arc two. I'm messing. I keep wanting to say seasonally. We're basically doing it in 7 parts for the original Dragon Ball series. We're on kind of part 2 of it. So yeah, we had a lot of fun with that. So that is that's coming up this week. You know, we have Phineas and Ferb, and you know, beyond that, you know, there will be some we have the Spider-Man show around the corner. That'll be covered more at the end of it, and you know, we Invincible in February. So there's stuff coming.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, yeah, thank you guys once again for joining us in the chat, and we will see you all later. Have a good night. God damn it, Gareth. Just make it good. Just don't let me down, Gareth, please.